So normally, the metawatch videos are a great way of finding out how tournament players are getting your favourite kill teams nerfed in the near future. Watch out Commando players, they are coming for you. But today's metawatch has been quite insightful into both Games Workshop's views on the state of the game and how they balance it, as well as teasingly, the future of kill teams as a whole. Let's get into it. Today's interview between Nick Baton of Warhammer TV and kill team designer Elliot opened up with their thoughts on the most recent summer balance data slate, which was primarily aimed at dealing with some of the nastier melee focused teams. As a whole, they are happy with the results of the balance pass and continue to keep an eye on each team's performance, although Elliot goes into quite a bit of detail as to how that job is actually getting harder as the game matures, resulting in their decision-making process having to involve a lot more interpretation as well as local event observations rather than just statistical analysis. Their challenges include having a much smaller data pool to sample from compared to, say, Warhammer 40,000, which caters towards a much larger demographic and as a result produces a lot more event data that can be interpreted. Win percentage is a much less useful statistics in Kill Team compared to the larger games. While it definitely still plays a part in the decision making process, it's not as telling as one might think when regarding how good a given faction is. Painting up a new kill team to play is something that can be feasibly done within a single weekend, as opposed to the 6-month to year-long process that is painting up a Warhammer 40,000 army. This means that players can easily swap between teams with little effort, and combined with the smaller data pool Kill Team has, a single, experienced player can take an apparently underperforming team, do well with them at several events, and have an appreciable effect on the win rates. People also play very differently. It was mentioned that Orc Commandos are much more popular in the United States than they are in Europe for reasons which are a bit hard to interpret and predict, and then of course, the types of Killzone people play on changes the games up massively. Some kill teams are better at close quarters, Gallo Dark style boards, whereas others perform better on open boards. Even with open boards, terrain density has a huge effect on how teams can perform, and as this is not really tracked within the data, it can skew the win rates. Kill Team also has more factions to balance than Warhammer 40,000, which, again, combined with a smaller data pool, makes it a harder job to get right, and the abundance of choice in teams, which will only continue to grow in the future as more teams are released, will keep diluting the data pool for any given faction. Kill Team also has less levers to adjust when it comes to balancing the game compared to Warhammer 40,000. Changing the balance of a team can't be done by simply changing point costs, as there are none in Kill Team, so larger changes have to take place, namely changing a faction's rules and in extreme cases changing the number of operatives they can use. This doesn't mean they're not able to try and balance the game. Far from it, as the game is currently in a healthy state with faction representation being varied at all levels of competition, with nearly all of the top 10 competitors using different kill teams. But they're having to use different metrics, not just win rates. A key one seems to be faction popularity. If certain factions are over or underrepresented at events, it's probably because they're either too good or too weak and thus need looking at in closer detail. I'm oversimplifying the process, but that's effectively the approach they're taking while judging each event that happens on its own individual merits. So what does this mean for the future of Kill Team? Well, in terms of more balance passes, we can expect the next update sometime around November or December. They're keeping a close eye on Commandos who they feel are overperforming at the moment, as well as looking closely at the Wormblade, Felgor Ravagers and Exaction Squad, who all probably need a little bit of a boost. There's also a new deck of cards coming out. Called the Approved Ops deck, this set of cards will comprise last year's Critical Ops mission card pack, as well as the Critical Operations Close Quarters update, so you're not having to play with printouts if you're going to be using that card deck with indoor boards. Games Workshop have declared this the definitive way of playing both competitive and casual games of Kill Team, so let's hope they do a better job of producing enough decks to supply demands this time around. Finally, they also spoke briefly about Kill Team Season 3. They confirmed it was called Season 3, which tells us we're not getting a new update edition for at least a year, and while they can't say much just yet, confirmed that both new teams are coming and, more interestingly, a new environment in which to play. A new environment is logical, but considering Season 1, especially when you take into account the extra terrain rules published in White Dwarf, conclusively took care of outdoor environments, and Season 2 thoroughly covered indoor environments, it's going to be interesting to discover what they have planned. No specific date has been given yet other than soon, but with Warhammer Day right around the corner, it's possible that we might find out next month. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. What are you hoping to see in the next season of Kill Team, and how do you think the game is doing as a whole? Click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, check out our back catalogue of Kill Team content and battle reports, and subscribe if you like what you see. I'll see you all in the next video.